Donald Trump was recently interviewed by Laura Ingraham of the Fox Propaganda Network, and despite his best attempts to hide from adversarial media and tough questions, he was actually fact-checked multiple times to his face by Ingraham, and it's hilarious and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to show you from this most recent episode of the Ingraham Angle. As you know, because we've talked about her in previous videos, Laura Ingraham is a strident, open, public, aggressive Trump supporter. She makes no bones about it. This is not a Martha McCallum, Dana Perino, Brett Baer situation where you can be reasonably sure that they prefer Donald Trump to President Biden or Vice President Harris, but they're not nearly as open about it. Laura Ingraham is like Sean Hannity or Jesse Waters or Jeanine Pirro. She's in that camp, which made it all the more surprising that she fact-checked Donald Trump gently, but publicly, to his face a few times because his lies are so egregious. So I want to play you some of these examples because it's just fun to watch Donald Trump be corrected in real time when he was probably expecting a softball interview.
But more importantly than that is they don't have the people. They're not doing it. It's a very bad thing.
How would you do it differently?
I'd have a tremendous team of people here. They don't have any people here. The people are all, I was in North Carolina yesterday. I was in Georgia. And Georgia's different. You have a good governor. He's doing a very good job. But North Carolina is a disaster. And it was also hit very hard. But they don't have the people. And they're complaining there's no people around to help. That was a horrific storm. But more.
So, again, we'll get to the fact check. But she asked a question about Hurricane Helene and hurricane recovery efforts. What would you do differently since you're criticizing a lot? Well, you have to get good people, great people. The Biden administration has sent thousands of federal employees and workers for FEMA to the states that were hit by Hurricane Helene, including red states, including states that are run by Republican governors, including states that are almost certainly going to vote against Vice President Harris. Thousands of boots on the ground, so to speak, in these various states. And many of them were pre-positioned because the Biden administration actually signed emergency declarations prior to Helene making landfall. There is no indication whatsoever, none, from these Republican governors, which includes the Republican governor that Donald Trump praised, Brian Kemp, the Republican governor of Georgia. Kemp has said repeatedly that he is getting all the assistance he needs from the federal government, that there have been no delays, that there have been no meaningful refusals, that President Biden has been in direct contact with him and has said, hey, whatever you need, you're going to get. So again, totally contradicted by the facts and by the very governor that Trump is praising. I should also note that Trump, until recently, was not praising Governor Kemp, was actually publicly lashing out at him and his wife because he viewed Kemp as being insufficiently loyal because Kemp refused to flip the results of the 2020 election in Georgia for Trump. There's no love lost between these two cynical political actors. But now, because it's convenient and the election is rapidly approaching, Trump is trying to embrace Kemp while also lying about the things that Kemp says. And I should also note again before we play this clip, not only is he wrong, not only is he contradicted by the facts, he actually doesn't have a robust plan to offer. What would you do different? Oh, I'd have a lot of people on the ground. Well, that's what the Biden-Harris administration is doing. And by the way, it's not particularly detailed. But that just goes to show that Donald Trump is incapable of answering questions substantively, further undermining this idea that he's some sort of policy wonk. The vice president is infinitely superior in this regard. Another clip.
Response has been so bad to the hurricane. This response has been horrific.
But didn't Elon praise Pete Buttigieg, saying he cleared the way for some of my helicopters to come in? He praised Buttigieg.
Well, that was 2 days late because what?
So again, this is the fact-checking question. It's so funny. We're going to play the rest of this clip, but I do want to remind you. So Elon Musk, who again, has criticized Trump in the past, somebody who has said that Trump is unfit for office, who's too old. And Trump, in turn, has viciously attacked Elon Musk over the years. Again, just the subject of itself of an own video. But in recent months, Elon Musk has become an open and enthusiastic Trump supporter. He endorsed him for the president. If you go to Elon Musk's Twitter profile, you're going to see MAGA everywhere. There's a link to a Trump supporting super PAC in the bio that he actually went in as the owner of Twitter and took the handle away from another user, just pilfered it to use it for himself. That's how desperate Elon Musk is to get Trump elected. And Musk recently picked a fight with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg on Twitter, and Buttigieg responded And it turned out that Elon Musk was wrong. And, Secretary Buttigieg got on the phone with Elon Musk and resolved whatever issue Elon Musk had created in his head. Again, very inaccurate. And did so well that Elon Musk, of all people, publicly praised Secretary Buttigieg, President Biden's transportation secretary. Thanks for expediting approval for support flights. Just wanted to note that Secretary Buttigieg is on the ball. To which Secretary Buttigieg responded, glad we could address. Thanks for engaging. So again, says something that Elon Musk, who Trump is now publicly praising and who is now publicly praising Trump, is also publicly praising President Biden, the Biden-Harris administration, Secretary Buttigieg, which undermines and undercuts Donald Trump's claims that the Biden-Harris administration is being deficient in this regard.
What happened is he sent his great, gadgets in. He has the Starlinks. It's incredible for communication. But they were asking me, the people of North Carolina and representatives, they said, could you possibly speak to Elon Musk and get it? And Elon came through, and then they sent it in, and they wouldn't allow it to go in. And it took 2 days, and then Boot Edge, as you say, Boot Edge called, and I guess after 2 days later.
Were they shamed, are you saying, into
Of course they were.
it
It was huge publicity that they wouldn't allow. He had helicopters bringing stuff in that's not even gettable. You can't even get it. Response.
So again, it was a lack of coordination by Musk with the FAA, with FEMA. It was just a communication issue. Nothing was being denied. Nothing was being rejected. There wasn't a backlog. The issue was a miscommunication between the two parties, nowhere near what Elon Musk was blowing up at the time or publicly signaling. Buttigieg says, hey, reach out to me. Let's resolve this. And they do. And again, so well that Musk feels the need to Musk of all people feels the need to publicly praise Secretary Buttigieg. So again, Donald Trump's recounting of this is incredibly erroneous, incredibly dishonest. But again, it says something that one of the most influential Trump supporters is publicly praising the administration of Trump's opponents, undercutting Trump's own lies. Another fact check from Laura Ingraham.
But she shouldn't be there anyway. She should be, I would say, North Carolina is so bad. And
she was there today for 3 hours, I believe, Kamala Harris. But
she
stunned him into silence. And he had to look down. So here's the thing, and again, it goes back to this. When the president of the United States, the vice president of the United States, or former presidents of the United States like Trump, who is also a Republican presidential candidate, right? So he's running for re-election. The amount of security that surrounds these principals is immense. And you had Republican state and local leaders begging these politicians, Democrat and Republican, Biden, Harris, and Trump, to stay out in the immediate recovery efforts, because it would, not only would it distract, it would divert resources, because by federal law, these principles have to be protected to the fullest extent, which means law enforcement would have to be diverted. It would mean lodging would have to be made, paths would have to be cleared, secured. It would just be an enormous tax on strained resources. President Biden and Vice President Harris recognized the wisdom of, hey, we're going to get you all the resources and the manpower you need, but we're not going to be there and distract and divert from those resources. So we're going to stay back for a few days until you tell us that it's okay to go to place X, Y, and Z. That's the responsible thing to do. We're going to do everything we can from a distance, which is what you really need. You don't need us to go there in person and shovel stuff. You need boots on the ground. We're going to provide that. They did provide it. And you let us know when it's good for us to actually visit and tour the scenes, speak to people, make the symbolic gesture. Trump didn't do that. Trump just barged right in. Of course, he has no authority to actually meaningfully help, too. So it was just a cynical photo op. And again, I think it's important that even Laura Ingraham, however reluctantly, was like, actually, yeah, she showed up in North Carolina. So you're wrong on that. One more clip.
Very concerned about that.
So we're into almost $300 billion for Ukraine, and yet they're offering people $750
for immediate needs.
For the worst, but for the worst hurricane that anybody's seen.
So again, Donald Trump is peddling this lie that FEMA under the Biden-Harris administration will only offer $750 to people whose entire lives have been ruined by Hurricane Helene. That is false. And even Laura Ingraham felt the need to fact check it. FEMA actually has had to put up a fact-checking portion on their website to try to debunk the lies of Trump and MAGA Republicans. And this is one of them, rumor. FEMA will only provide $750 to disaster survivors to support their recovery. That's the rumor. Here's the fact. This is false. This is a type of assistance that you may be approved for soon after you apply called serious needs assistance. It's an upfront, flexible payment to help cover essential items like food, water, baby formula, breastfeeding supplies, medication, and other emergency supplies. There are other forms of assistance that you may qualify for to receive, and serious needs assistance is an initial payment you may receive while FEMA assesses your eligibility for additional funds. As your application continues to be reviewed, you may still receive additional forms of assistance for other needs, such as support for temporary housing, personal property, and home repair costs. If you have any questions about your disaster assistance application and what you qualify for, contact us. Okay. So again, this is an initial basically here. This is just to get you by for just a second while we review what your additional needs are and what you're eligible for. This is not the end all be all. And Donald Trump is lying when he suggests, and he's lying so brazenly that even Laura Ingraham feels the need to fact check him. Again, which is stunning, right? That's such a stunning indictment of Donald Trump's dishonesty that Laura freaking Ingraham, who, by the way, was a principal player in the Dominion Voting Systems lawsuit, right, where Dominion Voting Systems sued Fox News for defamation. Laura Ingraham was a major contribution to that. She was a major liability for Fox. And such, Fox had to pay, they had to settle $787 million to Dominion Voting Systems, despite the very high threshold of difficulty to successfully make a defamation case. Fox was so screwed that they paid nearly $1 billion just to settle, which means they knew that they could very well lose in court. Laura Ingraham played a role for that. So for her to be like, oh my God, this lie is so egregious, I have to fact check my cult leader, Donald Trump, to his face on live TV, either suggests that perhaps she's grown as a person, unlikely, or perhaps she is terrified of contributing to another disaster for which Fox News may be sued. So regardless of the motivation, it's good that a MAGA cultist like Laura Ingraham is fact-checking Donald Trump to his face on Fox, because it exposes Fox viewers to the truth that they might not otherwise get. And also, it's a lot of fun to watch these two in this uncomfortable situation. Great stuff. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.